Department of Homeland Security Kristi Noem has announced the official termination of the Temporary Protected Status, or TPS, for Haitian migrants in the United States. This decision effectively removes the legal protections for approximately 520,000 Haitians, exposing them to deportation as early as August of this year. Now, Kristi Noem is vacating a Biden administration's June decision to extend the TPS status for these Haitians by 18 months, which would have allowed them to stay until February of next year. Now, the Trump administration is doing this, and they are justifying this action as part of their broader immigration policy. They are returning the TPS to its original purpose. It's supposed to be temporary, not forever extended. And they are addressing what they perceive as exploitation and abuse of the system. This also aligns with President Trump's campaign promises to increase deportations and reduce total immigration here in the U.S. And in fact, this is just one small part of a larger move here. Kristi Noem is also ramping up efforts to make more arrests and do more deportations of illegal aliens infesting the U.S. She has authorized the deputization of up to 600 State Department officials as immigration officers. This order empowers special agents from the State Department's Diplomatic Security Service to assist in arrests and deportations of illegal aliens. This will include IRS employees, Justice Department enforcement components, and Texas Attorney General's Office law enforcement officials. And Secretary Noem has also suggested that they should leverage the Internal Revenue Service's expanded workforce and budget to aid in immigration enforcement. Meanwhile, ICE has now also begun arresting business owners who knowingly harbor illegal aliens. For example, February 12th, Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI, conducted a targeted operation at Abby's Bakery in Los Fresnos, resulting in the arrest of 8 illegal alien workers. And the bakery owners were also arrested. They are facing serious charges of bringing in and harboring aliens and aiding and abetting the harboring of aliens. According to the complaint, the bakery owners, Bays and Avila, reportedly admitted to knowingly employing these people who were here in the country illegally. They provided shelter to these so-called undocumented workers, meaning illegal alien workers, on their property. And 2 illegal aliens corroborated these allegations, identifying Bays and Avila as the bakery owners who provided them and others with shelter. ICE, in the meantime, has stated that the illegal alien workers apprehended at the bakery will remain in custody pending their removal from the country. So where does this leave us? Well, as of right now, ICE has been averaging close to 1,000 arrests per day with a short-term goal of 1,500 per day. But the reality is this is not nearly enough. It would need to dramatically increase to make any real impact on the 22 million people living here in the country illegally. And the Trump administration knows this. That is why there is now a push in Congress to pass a bill with explicit mass deportation funding, which is in the works right now, as well as reorganizing ICE itself to better take on its role as the deportation agency as it was meant to be. Now, this is an article from Fox News posted yesterday afternoon. Trump admin ousts top ICE official over concerns about pace of illegal immigrant deportations. The Trump administration is not happy with this slower pace. They write, the Trump administration is replacing the acting head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement over concerns about the pace of deportations and arrests of illegal immigrants. A source familiar confirmed to Fox News that acting ICE Director Caleb Vitello has been removed from his position. The source said that the administration is not happy with the pace of deportations and arrests. No duh. The development was first reported by the Wall Street Journal. A spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security confirmed the personnel change to Fox News. Caleb Vitello, acting director of ICE, is no longer in an administrator role. He is, however, overseeing all field and enforcement operations, finding, arresting, and deporting illegal aliens, which is a major priority of President Trump and Secretary Noem. Boy, that is a slap in the face for this guy. Definitely a demotion. ICE arrests have gone up significantly, writes Fox, since the beginning of the administration, but not enough to meet the administration's targets. President Donald Trump had promised a historic mass deportation campaign on the campaign trail. And to be fair, we're only a month in. There's going to be a lot of legal challenges. There's no reason why you would expect there to be mass deportations right out the gate. But a higher pace would be expected. Anyway, Fox goes on to write, they reported last week, Fox News, that the Department of Homeland Security data showed 11,791 interior ICE arrests from January 20th to February 8th, compared to 4,969 during the same period in 2024, which is a 130% increase. That is a snooze-a-rama number. Now, arrests of aliens with criminal histories have soared by nearly 100% from 4,500 in the same period to 8,900 under Trump this year. Separately, numbers coming across the border have plummeted. Fox News reported last week that the daily average number of known gotaways, illegal aliens who successfully entered the U.S. without apprehension at the southern border since the beginning of February, has plummeted to just 132 per day, which is down 93% from the highest numbers when former President Joe Biden was in office. Border czar Tom Homan has said this week that the border crossings were down 95% based on actual data, which is nice, but it doesn't solve the bigger problem, which is the 22 plus million living in this country illegally. Now, meanwhile, the DHS has made a number of moves to expand ICE enforcement. This includes taking Biden-era limits on where agents can make arrests, deputizing officers, as I mentioned earlier, from other agencies, and using federal prisons to house illegal immigrants. It has also ended Biden-era parole policies that allowed migrants to enter at ports of entry or be approved for travel into the U.S. Fox previously reported that the administration is also using Guantanamo Bay to house migrants. The DOH launched legal action against multiple sanctuary cities that do not comply with ICE. And that's all well and good, but it's still not enough. But as it happens, the cavalry has nearly arrived now. The U.S. Senate recently voted on a budget bill, which includes funding for mass deportations. This legislation is a $340 billion package. And out of that $340 billion, they allocate $175 billion for border security and explicitly includes funds for mass deportation operations and the construction of the border wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, alongside $150 billion for Pentagon defense spending and $20 billion for the Coast Guard. This bill is part of the effort to support Donald Trump's administration priorities here. And Senate Majority Leader John Thune emphasized the urgency to act here. They were able to get the vote done using reconciliation, which is a mechanism that allows them to bypass the usual 60-vote filibuster threshold. The Democrats have prepared a counter-campaign to all of this. They're trying to make waves by highlighting potential economic and humanitarian concerns of all of this deportations, but it doesn't seem to be making much of a dent. Now, as of right now, the complete text for this bill has not yet been released, which means while we know that the bill has $175 billion allocated for border security, border wall construction, and mass deportations, we don't yet have specific breakdowns. However, based on available information, we can make a few educated guesses on how all of this will be structured and prioritized. So let's first talk about the border wall. This will be a sizable portion of that $175 billion, because for all intents and purposes, if you don't build the wall, everything you do here can be completely reversed in short order. So this has to be done. Now, historical estimates from the Trump era would put construction costs at around $18 to $25 million per mile, which seems outrageously high, but I'm not into construction, so what do I know? Now, there are roughly 2,000 miles of border and about 700 miles already built or reinforced. So extending or upgrading another 300 to 500 miles could consume roughly $5.4 billion upwards to $12.5 billion. Now, the bill also emphasizes expedited construction, which suggests that there will be funds for labor, materials, steel, and concrete, and land acquisition or eminent domain settlements. Then there's the funding for border security operations. This chunk will likely cover personnel, technology, and infrastructure beyond the wall itself. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection employs about 60,000 people right now, including 19,000 Border Patrol agents. You could boost these numbers by, say, another 10,000, which would cost about $1 to $1.5 billion annually for salaries, training, and equipment. And additional funds would also support advanced surveillance, like drones, sensors, AI-driven monitoring, and so on and so forth, which could run another $2 to $5 billion, and expanded detention facilities, potentially another $3 to $7 billion, based on past ICE contracts and facility expansion costs. But let's get to the good stuff here, the mass deportations. This will likely be the largest and most complex slice of the pie here. The administration has made it very clear that they plan to deport millions of illegal aliens. The conventional wisdom is 1 to 11 million, so we'll use that number for now, but the reality is, you're looking at 22 plus million. But for now, let's use the conventional wisdom here of 1 to 11 million illegals getting deported. Now, ICE's budget for enforcement and removal operations was $4.7 billion in 2024. So first and foremost, you would need a large increase in ICE staffing. So you currently have 5,800 officers, which is laughably low. They would need to to triple or quadruple this number. So possibly you're looking at 3 to 5 billion per year. You would need to have more detention holding centers. If you were to say hold 1 million people at a time pending deportation, you're looking at about $150 per day per detainee. This is as of 2024 rates for an average of 60-day process. So you're looking at about $9 to $10 billion. Then you would have the deportation. You would need buses or chartered flights. So you could expect that to be somewhere between 1 and 2,000 per person internationally, which could range about 1 to 2 billion or more, with higher costs for broader targets like that 5 to 10 million number. Now, to achieve mass deportation, the Trump administration would have to begin ramping up arrests dramatically, and they would need to defeat all leftist challenges in sanctuary states. This could begin once the field is cleared of all challengers. Once all the lawsuits are settled, then the door would be open. And if this bill, which would still have to go to the House to get approved, if this bill were to pass, then you could begin, and the way for true mass deportation would finally be opened. Perhaps we might still get a mass deportation, the likes of which we have not seen since Dwight D. Eisenhower, where he deported over 1 million illegals in a matter of months back in the 1950s. But no matter how you slice it, things are certainly looking interesting, and we're going to have to keep an eye on this as it continues to unfold.